le plaisir d'avoir cette première réunion avec Suzanne. Je me souviens très, très bien de cette entrevue, très, très bien, parce que c'était pas évident d'une fille qui vient de la Gaspésie comme ça, qui n'a jamais vécu à Montréal, à ma connaissance, arrive à Montréal et avoir les succès que Suzanne a eu dans cette carrière. Donc, on prenait tous de chance avec elle. Est-ce qu'on entend bien? Est-ce que ça va? Et donc, pour moi, je suis ravi de voir le succès que tu as eu dans ta carrière aussi. Donc, et ça va être un des thèmes que j'aimerais peut-être aborder un petit peu ce soir, de prendre le plaisir quand on voit le succès de quelqu'un d'autre avec qui on a travaillé comme ça. Donc, ce soir, mesdames et messieurs, merci beaucoup. Je dois dire que pour moi, c'est presque difficile d'entendre tout ça. C'est pas par... je suis un peu inconfortable de dire que tout ce monde-là est ici directement ou indirectement pour moi, mais merci de l'immense respect que vous manifestez par votre présence. Je suis en effet très ému. Pierre, tes mots extraordinaires, ça m'a vraiment touché. Le fait que tu parles de la façon que tu as parlé au sujet d'Elaine, Marc, avec les différentes réflexions, les anecdotes, les choses qu'on a fait ensemble à Londres. Philippe Rainville, je suis fier de Montréal, c'est certain, et je vais continuer à être fier de Montréal, et on va continuer de faire ce qu'on doit faire pour s'assurer que ça continue. Nous avons Marc Gallardo ici, et c'est d'ailleurs surtout Marc qu'il faut parler plus que moi, parce que c'est lui qui décide du réseau de Air Canada. Jacques, encore là, on parle des différents aspects de ma vie, et pour moi, chaque fois que j'arrive sur le campus de l'université, j'ai l'occasion de rencontrer des lauréats comme les gagnants de notre prix aux médias qui fait des choses extraordinaires. Tellement fier de voir ces étudiants-là, et je pense que c'était brillant de ta part de les amener ici avec vous. David, encore là, c'était parmi les mots qui m'ont touché le plus, de savoir, comme tu dis, toi, tu es la personne qui a parlé de l'intérieur de l'organisation, un peu inside baseball si on veut, mais c'était très, très touchant. Et évidemment, Suzanne, c'est quelque chose de spécial de voir tout ce monde-là qui a touché ma vie directement, indirectement, pour des longues périodes de temps. Nous avons également dans la salle, on a mentionné, mais on n'a pas suffisamment reconnu d'après moi, nous avons l'honorable Yves Fortier, le fameux arbitre international, le plus fameux arbitre probablement au monde, et évidemment l'ancien ambassadeur aux Nations Unies. Yves, où êtes-vous? Vous êtes où? Je ne vous vois pas. Pouvez-vous vous lever au moins qu'on peut vous... Yves? Il est parti. En tout cas, il était ici ce soir, et moi, j'étais très touché de savoir que des gens comme Yves Fortier, qui a 80 ans maintenant, je pense, au moins, prend le temps de venir ce soir. En tout cas, tout ça pour dire que c'est pas seulement honoré de voir tout ce monde ici, mais j'ai l'occasion de voir des amis que je n'ai pas vus depuis très, très longtemps, des anciens de la faculté de droit, des anciens collègues, des anciens amis. On dirait que tout le monde est ancien ici. Mais c'est vrai que j'ai commencé la pratique, comme vous avez entendu ce soir, j'ai commencé la pratique en 1979. Donc, ça fait 40 ans cette année. C'est incroyable, on n'y croit pas. J'ai pas l'air de ça. Je pense que je regarde dans le miroir. Mais c'est-à-dire qu'en 1978, quand je suis entré chez Stikeman Elliott en tant que stagiaire, il y a une petite anecdote je vais le raconter en anglais parce qu'il y a beaucoup de gens ici qui ont pris le temps de venir des États-Unis et de Toronto et d'ailleurs. 1978, when I show up at Stikeman Elliott as a very timid, uncertain kind of a lawyer, I was honored to be accepted to a place like Stikeman Elliott, and one of my colleagues at Stikeman Elliott who encouraged me was a colleague in class who had done really well in law school. So I said, this must be the best place to go. I had an appointment to come on my first day on the job at 8:30 to meet Claudette Picard-Lavallee, another former bâtonnier of the bar like Monsieur Tremblay here. And she was not there. I came early. She was not yet there. So I show up and I go into the students' room and it's a bullpen of students. And they're all very busy because they already have mandates. I have nothing to do. So I'm sitting around sort of flipping pages. They're all busy doing work. No one is talking to me. I'm just doing my looking at my pages. And at around 8:45, Claudette still had not arrived. And a young lady comes into the students' room, and she says, I need a student. So I said, who's not busy? So I said, I'm not busy, I have nothing to do. And so I start following her. And in those days, a place like Stikeman Elliott, I knew Stikeman was a man of a certain age. I knew Elliott was a man of a certain age. I assumed that everyone there was men of a certain age. So this young lady comes to me and she says, please follow me. And in those days, Stikeman Elliott had 2 floors, 39th floor and 38th floor. I start following this young lady through the corridors and through the library and outside and in the reception, down the stairs, turn 3 corners. I'm assuming she's going, this sounds like a chauvinist comment, but I assume she's taking me to her boss, to a man of a certain age who's going to be her boss, someone who looks like Gérald Tremblay looks today, let's say. So in the meantime, she doesn't. She sits on the other side of the desk. So I realize right away, my brain kicks into gear. I say, she's the lawyer here. So I said, okay, so I better be on my best behavior now. And so she sits across and she starts recounting. So here's the story. There's a foreign national from Portugal. They're passing through Canada. They signed a joint venture agreement with this. And they did this, and I'm starting to take notes, and my brain is thinking, is this, personal listed property? Is this a tax problem? Public international law, international affairs? My brain is, I said, gee, these people really don't mess around. I've been in the job 2 seconds. They're giving me this complex problem. It says, and the problem is that these people died intestate. So I'm thinking intestate. I'm thinking now it's without a will. So this now has questions of wills and estates. My brain is thinking of all this. It says, and the problem is they can't find the stamp collection. So we would like for you, if you don't mind, to go and find the stamp collection. It actually, as it turns out, we're doing this pro bono. It's a very, very, it's the janitor of the person that I just finished telling you about. And they have a stamp collection, and it's, I said, where is it? Well, it's Benny Farm, which is a very poor part of the city. And they put it all in garbage bags, but it's an extremely valuable stamp collection. It's important that you go and find it. I said, well, I haven't even met Claudette Picard-Lavallee yet. What am I supposed to do? Doesn't matter, you go. So I said, but should I go home and change? So, well, because I had my one suit, and frankly, it was the same color suit as I got married in that Pierre was referring. So the problem now was that I was proud. I had my one suit with me. I'd come to the office. It was 8:45, and I was already leaving the office. I said, well, what happens if Claudette Picard-Lavallee wants to know where I am, and she doesn't know where I am, that they're going to fire me, So I go out to this Benny Farm, and I meet the janitor. He says, yeah, it's over there. It's a garage, and it's a garage with, I don't know, there must have been 500 garbage bags of things. They had taken this person who died, and they put all his stuff in garbage bags. So then I'm spending the time, dumping the stuff out, looking through the things. I start reading all about his life, and I got to know the guy extremely well. He had died intestate. And then at around, I assumed that I was supposed to find it that day, that morning even. At around noon, I said, what in the hell am I doing here exactly? He said, this is not what I thought I signed up for when I went to law school. I think that, frankly, I'm going to call that lawyer and tell her I can't find it. This is stupid. This is really stupid, and I can't find it. I said, but what's the name of that lawyer? I don't even have her card. I don't even know how to get in touch with her. So I said, in those days, they used to put the lawyers' names in the telephone book. By you'd have the name of the firm, and you have Gérald Tremblay, Suzanne Coté, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to look because it sounded an Italian-sounding name was the way I remember. It was an Italian-sounding name. So I looked through the thing, and I'm looking. This doesn't sound like this. It doesn't sound like this. It doesn't sound Rob, Elliot, Tamaki, et cetera. None of these names seem to match. And there was one Italian name. And the guy was working on the Matthew Bender, and I said, can I speak to Miss, whatever the name was, let's say Italiano or something like that. It was not that. And he said, no, it's Mr. Italiano. So it couldn't be her. And it was the name was Suzanne Shortino, who subsequently became a judge and so on and so forth. but she was so young that her name was not yet in the book. So I said, so now I'm stuck. I'm out here. I'm thinking of quitting at this point. I said, maybe what I'll do is I'll just go home and pretend that this never happened. That was my first day on the job at Stikeman Elliott, and I have to say that as Pierre mentioned at the beginning, things did progress fairly quickly after that, including with my friend here, Mr. Gérald Tremblay, who was a key mentor to me during my stage and as a student, and we worked closely on a couple of interesting things, including one of the big bankruptcies at the time, Réserve du Nord, and he also would send me to. He'd have a client Japanese client, the representative gets into a drunk driving incident. He sends me to the jail to try to bail him out and things like this. So these were the fun things that we did in that first year. But the progress from law, as you heard, la loi mène à tout, law leads to everything. And the fact is that all of those fantastic experiences.
Did you find the stamps?
Yes. I never found the stamps. The Suzanne Shortino stamps, I never found them. So, in fact, reflecting on my modest start, and looking at how all of this came together, and in a very simplistic thing, I asked Elaine last night. I said, "Would you have thought, in your wildest dreams, 40 years ago when I started, that someday 200 or so people would gather around, including a Supreme Court judge, a senator, an ambassador, former ambassador to the United Nations, university president, a bâtonnier of the bar, three presidents of the Canadian Bar Association in the room, senior executives of leading industrial companies, chairs and senior partners of law firms, that all of these people would come to see me, to honor me? Would you have thought in your wildest dreams 40 years ago?" She said, "Listen, honey, when it comes to wild dreams, you're not in them." I confess, when I was told about this evening by André Gagnon, I thought he was kidding, because, of course, I haven't practiced law. I was the lawyer of the... He started out by saying lawyer of the decade. I said, look, I haven't practiced law. It's bogus. Like Suzanne was saying, who exactly is the jury for this thing? Because I haven't... If I'm the lawyer of the decade, I'd hate to see the rest of the lawyers. As I haven't really practiced law in 19 years. Although David Shapiro, I think, as he pointed out, and his team, many of whom are here this evening, may take exception with the fact that I haven't practiced law, because I do indeed stick my nose in his affairs quite often. It is a great background to the practice. The practice is a great background to business, and many of the Mirko is an example. Many others in the room are great examples of law having given us great opportunities to expand our horizons, to understand business, and I doubt very much that this will be to Pierre's initial comments, a permanent award in my name, because there are many lawyers now who are migrating to business. Et en effet, je me considère toujours et encore comme un avocat en rémission. Oui, je réussis des fois à la dernière minute, en utilisant souvent des stratégies innovantes, de compléter mon cours de perfectionnement de barreau chaque année, tous les 2 ans. Et je m'attends franchement à être toujours un avocat extrêmement reconnaissant envers les gens, notamment plusieurs d'entre vous, avec qui j'ai travaillé au cours des 2 premières décennies de ma vie professionnelle. Nous sommes tous fiers de nos universités, nos facultés de droit, et évidemment en rétrospective, et Jacques est là comme représentant et de la faculté de droit et de l'Université d'Ottawa, donc les 2 universités, mais on est toujours fiers de ces universités. Et je me considère également très, très chanceux d'avoir eu l'occasion de commencer ma carrière chez Stikeman Elliott à la fin des années 70. Ça fut une très belle expérience durant ces années-là. J'étais un jeune avocat dans les années 80 et 90. J'ai eu l'occasion de travailler avec parmi les meilleurs juristes du pays, dont beaucoup ont généreusement fait profiter de leur connaissance, de leur approche et de leur expérience. Avec de nombreux collègues des autres cabinets aussi. Comme vous voyez ce soir, on a des amis presque tous les grands cabinets à Montréal, et c'est quelque chose qui m'a toujours frappé, comment c'est une profession où on peut être des combattants, mais on peut également être de très, très grands amis. Ils m'ont grandement influencé ces premières années-là en m'apprenant des précieuses leçons de vie que j'applique encore aujourd'hui. Surtout stimuler la curiosité. Je pense que c'était qui? C'était Pierre peut-être qui a mentionné, ou Marc a mentionné Stanley Hart. Des gens comme ça qui m'ont appris comment penser grand, comment réagir rapidement, ne pas avoir peur des idées audacieuses. Et ça, c'est une chose où les gens ont peur de prendre des décisions. Et ces premières années-là m'ont vraiment instruit comment agir dans ces circonstances-là. Here I was also going to add about how I learned to throw stuff against the wall and see what sticks. But given my current role, I certainly don't want anyone to try that on any of our airplanes for the time being. But the idea of allowing knowledge and creativity, and these are words that several of you have mentioned in relation to me and themes that I've spoken about before. Allowing knowledge and creativity to flourish is the first of the three themes I want to discuss a little tonight. Knowledge continues to be the thing that has bound all of us in this room, that has made all of us successful. And it's the one thing that's not changed, frankly, since my call to the bar in 1979. Many of you have heard me say, and I'll say it again for those who haven't heard me, I think knowledge is the most basic fundamental natural resource. Exportable, importable, transferable, scalable for the new economy folks in the room, scalable and available to be richly mined without damage to the environment or without getting into a debate about pipelines. It's the most basic and most abundant, truly natural resource, and we need to continue to mine it. And this is something that I've learned early on. You heard our story, which I now talk about much more freely and openly, my parents immigrating to Canada and many other immigrant stories, great immigrant stories throughout this room. But they immigrated to Canada when I was 5 years old. My father was a surgeon. My mother was a teacher with 2 university degrees and $60 in their wallet and a couple of suitcases of clothing. And that basically was it. That's it, that's all. And that enabled them, what was in their brain, what was in their minds, enabled them to build the lives that they built. And that's why I always come back to these themes about, knowledge continues to be the theme that has bound so many of us. Knowledge is the thing that gave me capability to achieve what I've achieved. So what carried them through was not what was in their suitcases, but what was in their heads, their professions, their skills, their confidence, that enabled them to rebuild their lives in Canada, providing us with amazing opportunities. Mentors is a second theme, and again, Mark was generous in referencing that, and I take great pride, and Suzanne, as well, take pride in working with people. One of the things that I say, and I said it as recently as yesterday to a colleague from Air Canada, to Mark Nasser, I said that leaders make good people excellent, and make excellent people superheroes. And I think that kind of as a theme, certainly I had that kind of a secret handshake that empowered to kind of go and touch the stars, as you heard Pierre reference, and that's part of the thing that turns me on, and that's part of the thing that gave me the opportunities that I've had. And I encourage those that still have opportunities to influence other people's lives to do the same thing, to provide that necessary oxygen for others to excel, to thrive, to become better versions of themselves, even if that success may someday exceed yours. Excellence breeds excellence, and progress is best achieved when it becomes contagious. And in fact, it's one of the reasons that we chose to name our award at University of Ottawa with the words excellence in it, actually branded with the words excellence, because that's really what we expect to achieve is excellence through. We probably should let you go finish studying soon as well, Alice. Stikeman Elliott, of course, afforded me the opportunity to work on interesting projects and to meet interesting personalities. And so, as you heard, one of the important files that influenced me was the 1987 privatization of Air Canada. For those that want to do math, I was at that stage 31, turning 32 later that year. And at 31 years old, I had the great privilege of being the lead counsel on the privatization of Air Canada, which was the first major privatization of a Crown corporation ever in Canada, and it followed on the heels of the British privatizations of British Airways, British Gas, British Petroleum. And Claude Taylor, who some of you may remember, Claude Taylor was the long-standing chairman CEO of Air Canada during the privatization. When the privatization finished, remember, I was a 31-year-old, and he was, again, someone who looked like Gérald Tremblay looks today. I'm picking on Gérald. Gérald looks very, very young today, but so it's someone who looked like I look today. Let me put it this way. And Claude Taylor, at the end of that privatization, after the closing, invited me to a one-on-one lunch with him at the Mount Royal Club in Montreal, and to get my views on what Air Canada needed to do to move successfully from the public sector, Crown Corporation, to the private sector. And first I couldn't believe I'd never been to the Mount Royal Club before. So I had to kind of I thought I'd knock on the door. I assumed someone was listening to me as I knock on the door. I didn't know where to go. They direct me up to the room upstairs. It's a large table for those that are familiar. It's the chairman's room, massive room. Him on one side of the table, me on the other. I'm a little nervous, and he says, "Look, I just thought that you from the outside, you might have some perspectives on this." And then he takes out from his he had a little in his pocket. He takes out a piece of paper. He's ready to take notes as to what I'm going to tell him. And that was one of the most empowering secret handshakes, if you want, of my life. And I would say, dare I say, that it probably connected me differently to Air Canada than anything else that I've done with any other company or client or anything else. It was the dynamic of someone at that stage in his life paying attention to someone at that stage of my life, and bringing me along, and that to me is one of the great empowering stories and the importance of mentors. The postscript to this is in 2009 when I was appointed CEO. So now it's 20-some-odd years later, 22 years later. Second day on the job, big announcements all over the media that I became CEO, and one of the first calls is from Claude Taylor, who by this stage is 80-some-odd years old. And he says, do you want to go out for lunch again? And I said, sure. And I went to lunch with him. I paid this time. And he did the same thing. He said, look, Calin, my memory's not as good as it used to be. And he takes, I've got a few questions. In his case, he had written the questions that he was going to read to me. And it's truly a fantastic full circle, and it's a lesson in so many things, but a lesson primarily in the importance of empowering others, empowering young people, giving young people the oxygen to do the stuff that makes them more excellent. Maintenant, permettez-moi peut-être de passer de 1987 à 2009, évidemment, où ma vie a pris un virage inattendu, où je suis revenu à Air Canada à titre de chef de la direction. C'était le troisième thème que j'aimerais discuter, que j'aborde ce soir, accepter ou même, je dirais, embrasser, si on peut dire, le changement et éviter la médiocrité. Vous, confrères, consoeurs, ici présents, vous savez qu'il est impossible de légiférer l'innovation, de légiférer la créativité ou de légiférer le changement. Mais il est certainement possible de les restreindre en agissant comme tout le monde, en adoptant une pensée linéaire. Et avouons-le, la médiocrité et la pensée linéaire n'ont pas de place dans un monde hautement concurrentiel, où le changement, les perturbations, les risques et la rapidité jouent un rôle beaucoup plus important que jamais. Donc, lorsque je suis retourné à Air Canada en 2009, comme vous avez entendu, jour du poisson d'avril 2009, notre industrie et l'économie en général traversaient des bouleversements à l'échelle mondiale. C'était suite aux événements de 2008, où l'économie, crise financière de 2008, la récession mondiale, la flambée du prix de carburant qui a touché 140 $ le baril. Et Air Canada était, comme vous avez entendu, ainsi dire, à l'article de la mort, sur le point de disparaître dans l'abysse. Nos liquidités disparaissaient, toutes nos conventions collectives avaient expiré, nos fournisseurs de cartes de crédit exigeaient des dépôts qu'on n'avait pas. Notre régime de retrait avait un déficit de 4 milliards, notre réseau international contractait. En effet, on brûlait les meubles pour rester en vie. Donc, rien, mais absolument rien ne permet de mieux rassembler ces esprits que la perspective d'être pendu au matin. This is one of the expressions that we used in our management meeting. Nothing focuses the mind like a hanging in the morning. And we were facing a hanging in the morning. My daughter actually hates when I use that expression. I said we basically, nothing focuses the mind like a hanging in the morning, and the noose was tightening at that stage. But that gave great clarity of thought. And, this proverbial burning platform empowered us to effect change. Nous avons rapidement appris que c'était dans l'adversité que l'on devient plus courageux, et ça c'est un autre mot qu'on utilise souvent. Et plus l'adversité est grande, plus nous prenons du courage, et plus nous sommes en mesure d'opérer des changements fondamentaux. À mon premier jour en poste, nos actions clôturaient à 78 sous, nos coûts étaient incontrôlables, notre offre de service était faible, tout le monde était mécontent. Nos actionnaires, nos créanciers, nos employés, nos clients, les seuls qui se frottaient les mains, c'était nos concurrents. La médiocrité s'était installée. Avec nos dos au mur, nous avons profité de cette crise existentielle pour stabiliser notre entreprise et tourner ce courage vers le changement. Avoir frôlé le monde nous a donné la force d'affronter la médiocrité et de tourner avec confiance vers l'objectif, alors audacieux de devenir un champion mondial. Et donc, tout ça pour dire que comment est-ce qu'on est arrivé à ça? How did we get to this notion? You know, we said we're going to avoid mediocrity. We're going to embrace mindset of startups. We're going to embrace mindset of entrepreneurship. We're going to embrace things that we've learned in other emerging markets of speed, flexibility, audacity. And I have to say that the team that rallied behind, and again, many of the executives, many of the leaders that did that are in this room, and I've said many times that certainly this is not, David was kind to say it needs a leader, but it needs a tremendous leadership team. And like any team, we needed to have a vision of what was needed, and the amazing people in this room who worked alongside me every step of the way are as much responsible for it as I am. Over the decade, I've learned many lessons from the dramatic change we experienced. One, invest in risk and be globally audacious. This is the thing that, thinking big, some of those early lessons that we had from Stanley Hart and others, invest in risk and be globally audacious. Invest in brain power. You heard what I said about brain power. Invest in diversity. Invest for the long term, not for next quarter's earnings report. And legacy is indeed important, and it's okay to say you want to leave a legacy. That's not an ego statement. It's not we'd leave a legacy because it's going to make me feel better about it, but it's okay to say we aspire to leave a legacy. No shame in that. The way my expression that we've characterized is you leave the room better. You've made your contribution, well, you leave the room better. And our sense is we can leave the company better and maybe at the same time make some contribution to society. So for our team, winning was never a destination or some static nirvana where we got to spike the ball in a creative end zone dance. It was instead a mindset to ultimately leave the room better for the benefit of all of our stakeholders, and this has now become part of our DNA. It's true that we've had some strong commercial and financial results over the decade, but we've also moved the needle on employment, on diversity, on the environment, on humanitarian efforts, on community, and on social programs. Près de la moitié de nos 30 000 employés sont des femmes, et celles qui détiennent des postes clés de haute direction maintenant dans toute l'entreprise. On parle beaucoup dans ce moment de l'immigration comme stratégie imbattable de croissance économique. Et nous, on a parlé ce soir à quelques reprises de l'immigration, tandis que la génération du baby-boom quitte le marché du travail. Nous, on pense qu'il est temps pour les pays plus prospères d'avoir le courage d'accueillir encore plus d'immigrants et de tirer profit de l'intolérance qui prime ailleurs. Chez Air Canada, nous avons 80 langues qui sont parlées et 20% d'entre eux appartiennent à des minorités visibles. Personnellement, parmi mes moments les plus fiers de la dernière décennie, c'est quand j'accompagnais nos employés en 2010 sur une mission humanitaire en Haïti pour amener au Canada des orphelins après le séisme dévastateur. Ces enfants n'avaient aucun espoir, aucune famille, aucune mission, aucune maison. Et cette expérience nous a menés à former la Fondation Air Canada qui se consacre maintenant à la cause des enfants, entre autres, par voyage en rêve, Dreams Take Flight, en amenant des centaines d'enfants malades ou défavorisés à Walt Disney World chaque année. So yes, we believe that in addition to doing well, we can do good. And that is when I think back on my decade, that's one of the things that makes me proud. I think we have left the room better for the decade than when we started out. And with your indulgence, as I close here, let me say a few words. You've heard Pierre very, very eloquently speak about Elaine and my family. I'm often asked the question about balancing all these various things that I'm involved with. University, I'm on the BC Bell board, involved with IATA, Star Alliance. But, the fact is, the family dynamic has always been fantastic, and it's been one of those that, provides the stability that gives me the oxygen to do what we need to do. So, Elaine, who's here tonight, and Laura and Lee, who are not, and their partners, and now we have a grandson as well, as you heard, provides a tremendous stable base for me to do what I need to do. And I've had a great privilege in having that. I've had a great and diverse and highly stimulating journey throughout this, and so many of you, it is humbling. I don't want to sound too corny, but it's humbling to hear some of the stuff that we heard this evening. But I've had a very stimulating journey from law to finance to aviation. But it's been a journey that would have been impossible to navigate without the very many extraordinary people that you come in contact with, and many of you are in this room. So again, thank you very, very much for this great honor. The privilege is, frankly, not the photograph in back of me or the front page of Le Monde Juridique, as important as Le Monde Juridique is. It's more the fact that I have the privilege of having so many of you take time out of your schedules to come and join me this evening. Donc avec ça, merci beaucoup tout le monde. Thank you very, very much. Avec toi? Oh oui, c'est ça. Comme ça? Ah, comme ça. Merci.
Mon cher Calin, quel privilège, quel honneur. Et moi qui ne suis pas plus humble qu'il le faut, mais tu m'as enseigné une belle leçon récemment, il y a à peu près un an, quand tu as parlé de start-up. Et ça m'a fait réfléchir à ce que c'est un petit magazine, les difficultés qu'Air Canada peut avoir dans le day-to-day. J'ai dit, bon, mais je vis ça, on vit ça tous les jours. Mais merci de m'avoir fait réfléchir. Et je te suivais depuis plusieurs années sans le dire. Et parce que tu as été une grande inspiration. Le fait que, comme avocat, que tu ne pratiques pas, pour moi, ça ne change absolument rien au fait qu'on te désigne cette année avocat-CEO ou, toi, tu préfères PDG d'Air Canada de la décennie. Alors, mon cher ami.
Merci beaucoup. Merci.